but the technology, wasn't necessarily up to par. So I like to tell everybody that you haven't lived until you've cried on a control room floor, with the CEO staring back at you through the glass.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
So we have Molly Kaye on today.
I love Molly.
I like working with Molly.
Sometimes you work with people and you just you click with them.
Yeah.
She's just one of those people.
Yeah, I don't get to spend enough time with her. The last time I talked with her, she was really focusing on, she's got a project she's working on outside of work.
Yeah.
It's a passion project that sounds really cool.
Documentary, right?
Yeah, she's a documentary. And she put together a crew. They all traveled together and were doing this documentary.
I think she's close to done, but we'll find out. We'll get an update.
We'll get an update. That sounds cool.
But Molly now, she's got a big job. She and Emmy, they run the whole creative studio at Northwestern Mutual, which is pretty much in charge of all of the creative that comes out of that organization. One thing that I think we're going to dig into with Molly is how technology has changed her role throughout her career. And, while she has technical skills like that, those changes and evolutions are hard to kind of keep up and adapt. And now we're moving into an AI world, and there's a lot of question marks as to how creative shows up and how AI is going to impact those roles, and how she is trying to keep up with all these different trends and tools and opportunities.
The other thing I want to talk to her about is imposter syndrome, which happens when you get put in the all of a sudden you're in a position and you have someone on your shoulder going, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You have no idea."
And then it's
just
make it till you make it.
Yeah, that's when you go, "Nope, I deserve to be here." But it shows up. It still shows up occasionally.
Yeah. Well, I think that happens with everybody. You get into a place where
yeah,
am I over my skis here?
Of course we are.
Welcome to Marketing Outtakes, where we talk about the behind-the-scenes stories of marketing campaigns and careers. These are the moments when inspiration struck, when you made that last-minute decision that changed everything, or you took that hard left turn that didn't make the highlight reel.
We're your hosts. I'm Chris Scullis.
And I'm Chris McGuire.
And we're from McGuffin Creative Group. Today we have Molly Kaye on the show. Molly is a senior director of the creative studio at Northwestern Mutual. She's going to chat with us about storytelling, moving from creator to team leader, the ins and outs of in-house creative teams, and much more. Welcome, Molly.
Well, thanks for having me. This is so much fun. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Cool.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. We are going to start by pulling back the curtain a little bit. So you started your career in video production at GE.
Yeah.
And got a flat tire on the way to the interview.
Yes. Well, yes. Thanks for bringing that up, Chris. Both Chris, actually. Chris,
well, you got here today. So
I got here today, and I think as I was looking back just on my career path, and the irony in almost, missing, one of those first grade job opportunities that you have did not fall short on me. And I think it's actually, kind of a great way to describe how, I don't want it to sound as though I stumbled into anything, but if you would have told me that, my first foray into a career in video production was going to kind of lead to this great path through, being part of an in-house team and accessing all these different great opportunities, I didn't realize what I was driving into figuratively. So I just thought that was a great way to just kind of take us back to Molly. And I would also add, not only did I get a flat tire on the way to the audio interview, it was a telephone interview at the time, not to date myself, but then I also got lost on the way to the actual interview. But luckily landed the job, and here we are, fast forward.
Nonetheless.
Yeah. Was this at GE Healthcare?
This was GE Healthcare. And actually, so I was hired by, back then it was a creative contract agency. And so GE was actually my first and only client as part of that role. And what it did is it put me on site with this amazing global company. And they had an in-house creative studio at the time, beautiful production facility. And so I was exposed. I didn't realize it at the time, but just was kind of just like dropped into this great masterclass of all these different production types and production situations that, again, you wouldn't have thought would be part of an in-house
Totally.
experience at all. I had big dreams
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
with video production, and I got to tell you, it wasn't for a healthcare company. And now I'm sitting in financial services, but I
Just
was
the
thinking
sexy
more
stuff.
Hollywood. Yeah.
Just the sexy stuff. I love it.
No.
Yes, exactly.
No, GE Healthcare was a client of MacGuffin's also, and their in-house team was really great. And you wouldn't think it, but they had to be. And of course, it's a global corporation, which
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
you have to speak many languages, and there's lots
You
to
do.
discuss. It was when you were there, like what size was the team? Like what was your role when you started?
Right, right. So the team, and I was part of the dedicated creative production team at the time. So think video production, studios, services, that sort of thing. So there were probably, give or take 20, 25 as, the
Wow.
work ebbed and flowed. And so our mix of work looked, oh gosh, I would say it was probably 50% internal communications. And then the other 50% was really, we oversaw continuing education, medical programming for some of the products that they were selling at the time. We also, oh gosh, mixed in product launches
Oh, you had
and
amazing trade shows. Were you
oh
part
gosh, the
of
trade show. It was, yeah, definitely. That was a trade show that was every year,
oh, right on Thanksgiving? I've been to it.
right on
Everyone,
Thanksgiving. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. In Chicago. Good old
yeah.
Chicago, as you know. Yeah.
I mean,
RSNA, is that what it was?
RSNA. I know I was trying to remember yes, it was
the acronym.
RSNA. And so, building materials for that. And then also, interestingly, I'm trying to think, and this was back in the early 2000s. So interestingly, at that time, the live webcast became kind of a popular tool to actually communicate to more of a global audience, especially
Yeah,
for a company that size.
Internal communications,
It was
right?
that particular, and it was such a mix, right, in that
Yeah.
role, which is why I say it's such a master class in being able to kind of, get exposed to so many different things back then as a video producer. But right, an internal webcast, but the technology, wasn't necessarily up to par. So I like to tell everybody that you haven't lived until you've cried on a control room floor, with the CEO staring back at you through the glass. And then, some of the webcasts would work. They were held together with duct tape and, twigs
Yeah.
at the time, blending technology. The platforms just weren't as
yeah,
robust back then. And I've had a couple crash courses in load balancing and what that means.
that's good.
So it sounds like you had access to a lot of cool new technologies and tools and
Yes.
things at the time.
Yeah.
Were there any challenges aside from the fact that they were new? Like, what was it? I know you come from like a video background. Were you just
Right.
doing video at the
Exactly.
time, or was it also graphic design, or what was the role like?
Yeah. So, just thinking about video production, as I think back, again, I kind of stepped into this world. You're talking about the early 2000s there, and now we think in terms of like how disruptive AI is for teams, but back then it was really digital. I was like,
Right.
so is the
Like,
video right? I mean, you got not to age any of us here on
Oh, right.
this podcast, but you might recall back at that time as a producer, you're surrounded by, beta tapes and I remember the fear in the video community as that tape workflow really switched to digital, and you're like, but you mean everything's just going to be on that little card and it's not going to disappear? Like seriously, like where is everything? And so it was digital is a huge
yeah.
disruptor
Flash
Um,
animation? Is that going to
Yeah.
like
oh,
break you onto hives?
yeah,
Oh,
right? Like, oh, DVD
yeah.
duplication, oh,
Oh,
like all that stuff just kind of takes me back. And I was actually thinking because GE at the time, for their continuing education programming, they actually had a satellite network that was, piping content out to, gosh, many different healthcare and hospital facilities at the time.
Huh?
And so one of the biggest things that I remember kind of learning through at that time was converting all of that to an on-demand
Oh, wow.
form. And I wasn't in charge of it, but I was certainly there, learning and studying at the time, and just how disruptive that really was
yeah.
is interesting. And so I tell everybody, I was just, you can think of these different points in time that just
Mhm.
kind of really changed how we did work. And I think for me, especially in my career, just thinking back during that time period, that was a big one. You
Yeah.
know, especially in the video production industry, you're going from like these really linear manual kind of like workflows to experiencing what digital can do. I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back and reflecting, the ability to kind of just reframe how we can operate and work in those situations, and maybe even work better.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I mean, because looking back, who wants to have tapes, right?
No,
Like,
no.
No.
ugh,
No one.
bleh,
No
right?
one.
It was scary at the time, but I mean, what digital really did was it really opened up ability to be creative and to tell stories and to do a lot of what we just probably couldn't see for ourselves at the time.
So
So,
speaking of storytelling,
oh
after
yeah.
GE, you moved to Northwestern Mutual.
Yeah.
You've been there for a few years now. But talk about like how that's expanded your storytelling.
Yeah. So I've been at Northwestern Mutual for about 14, going on 15 years.
Congratulations.
Oh, how time flies
Mhm.
when you're having fun. And so it was interesting coming from healthcare into financial services. And you would think that healthcare, with its impact on people, the storytelling, like it couldn't be beat, right? Like, but when I was at GE, the storytelling was all about kind of the products, right? Like the
Yeah.
technology, how the technology is changing. It wasn't necessarily from the
I-
voice of
Yeah. And you're speaking to the
What about the
users. You're,
people?
you're speaking to the nurses and
Yeah.
the
yeah, I was in that role. I was speaking to the technologists, the nurses, the healthcare staff. And so what I didn't realize was the power of being able to kind of hear from people. And what I also didn't realize heading into financial services, it just took me by surprise. The most incredible stories live here. We think about Northwestern Mutual in particular, their products and services, having a financial plan. So we're in this position, or I was in the position when I was producing, to sit across the table from a client, sit across the table from people who are in, some of the most kind of profound and impactful moments in their lives. You think about losing a loved one, right?
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't prepared for the gravity of some of those stories, but just really found such a connection in being able to tell those stories and tell them as authentically as we could. Even though, right, like it's marketing, we're
Yeah.
marketing, but
Yeah.
you gotta do
no,
right
but
by the story and the people.
One of the things I always talk about MacGuffin, because that we are in healthcare and financial services. That's kind of our focus. But
What did we do to deserve this, right?
what
Like,
we true,
no.
but when we think about your health and your wealth, if one of those is in jeopardy, your whole table is wobbly. And it's amazing how quickly those things can shift. And so
right.
it really does kind of bring meaning to the stuff that we do every day, because
Mhm.
people need to make informed decisions about what they're going to do with their health and their wealth. And I think that when
Yeah.
you listen to those stories, and you're really helping tell those stories in your role, it shows just how important these things can be. Um,
Mhm.
and it brings some meaning to the work that we do every day.
Yeah.
It really does. And, so that I look back, that completely took me by surprise.
So you were expecting just like talk about annuities the whole time,
I
and then
did. if I even knew what an annuity was going and, back to Molly just driving into her future without, any type of
Right.
connection to kind of the impact that it could have. So,
Another organization that Northwestern Mutual works with is Alex's Lemonade. Have you touched that at all?
yes. So, my team gets, I always say it's such a privilege to kind of work on our foundation's storytelling. And so the Childhood Cancer Initiative is one that has been a dedicated focus for Northwestern Mutual for years. And so again, parlay telling stories about families and how they're impacted. And Northwestern Mutual is involved in Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation as a partner. And so, we'll tell stories of the research, we'll tell stories of families who have been impacted. It builds awareness, it cultivates a sense of, you know, pride and giving back.
Yeah.
And I've always thought that our foundation, I thought Northwestern Mutual proper has, these incredible stories, but then getting to work on our foundation storytelling, kind of leaves you forever changed.
It
And
gets it gets the team excited. We do a grant every year, and there's people that fight over like who's going to get to work on it. Because it's those stories, those moments that just makes you feel good about what we do. It's
Yeah.
not just about making a lot of money. You can actually help people.
Yeah, and it's really, in fact, our team is working on kind of a larger project for our upcoming annual meeting right now, and it's exactly that, Chris. It's just like
Yeah,
this is the stuff, right, that
yeah,
that kind of can really fuel that inner creative, and the team just so enjoys working on it. It fills their cup, and
right.
the ability to do it is just amazing.
I
Yeah.
want to I want to go back and talk a little bit about like technology has been something that likes to throw you curveballs like at every stage of your career. You
Hmm.
started with this digital thing where flash
Yeah.
animation was the be all end all, and then social media reared its head, and like all of a sudden companies are
Right,
now
that would be the next phase. Like,
yeah,
if you talk about chapters, channel explosion,
channel
vertical
explosion be
field,
next. Yeah.
right.
And now we have this AI thing. And I'd love to get your perspective on what AI is going to do to creativity
Yeah,
in general in our world, not just with your team, but like,
yeah.
it's a tool, so it could help propel things. But is it the thing that's going to make it all amazing?
Right, right. So, if I had a crystal ball, no, but it's interesting. So, AI, as I've learned, right? Like and our teams have learned, the more we can expose our team to kind of these different tools and these different technologies, the less scary they become. And I
Mhm.
think, Chris, I would love to even hear from you too, just in terms of like, for a creative, it's been scary, but like the way that we are viewing it here at Northwestern Mutual, it's just like, if there's this technology that can kind of take some of the manual process out of doing what you do so that you can then be more free to kind of create, I that's kind of the current view on it. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of work here too to just allow exposure to some of these tools. Being in financial services, sometimes we're not always the first and earliest adopters of technology, so that comes with its own challenges. But back to this ability to kind of like reframe with the times and be adaptable. I think those teams that are the most adaptable to being able to like open up and learn about these things, the more successful that they'll be. But that's my POV. Curious, Chris, kind of like what
Yeah.
you see on your team.
Yeah, we're doing the same. So we have a few people that are just explorers. They're out like just trying this and trying that. And there's some platforms that are horrible. There's some that are outstanding. And and it comes to, there's still a vision that people are trying to reach. Like we want to create this. And they're using AI to be able to do it and then present it. There will be a time where, I mean, it is going to make things faster. Like right now, like being able to show like I'll be specific, be able to show a concept um, that would take a really long time to either mark or render or Photoshop together. Like
For
you
sure.
can just type in monkey on a bulldozer, and there's a monkey on a bulldozer done. Like
For instance.
For instance, yeah, and you can. So like all of a sudden, then you have like at least that idea's out. So, but the idea came from a person, like, and that's still
That
happening. So we're doing a lot of that. What, but the thing is, we're not restrained right now. So we have some large clients that definitely have a view on AI or no AI, and so we have to be really careful of what sandbox we're playing in. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
we have to be
Well,
really
and
effective. Yeah.
you mentioned concepting too. I mean, we're currently experimenting just in terms of, what can the tools do for concepting? Where are they at? And same with resizing as well. I think we kind of are hovering over, like, as an in-house creative team, where are those areas that are, most time consuming,
Yeah.
most expensive, really, like you have the most heads on or most bodies on a
And
particular.
this work that people don't necessarily like to do either.
Right, and I don't mean to take and
Totally.
concepting can generally, I mean, that sounds like, no, that's not the ideation. No, it's the manual parts of the
Yeah.
conceptual
Right.
process that we're looking at. It's not taking away that ability to ideate, and we just want you to be able to do it even more, right?
Right.
Like, what could it look like to be able to scale that?
Yeah. And in your world, there's a few platforms that we're using it to help storyboard. And so
Yeah.
still the idea is coming from a person and the story
Mhm.
person, but then it's a process to
It
show
is.
that show that as a storyboard. And we're using AI to help do that. And it's working out really well. Um, is it taking jobs away? Not yet. Like,
Not yet.
not yet,
Yeah.
but it's faster. Like it'd be, and it looks better. Like you can show the concept better. So right now we're doing a lot of that. The other thing we're using it for in your world is a lot of just adding motion. Motion attracts when you're online. So taking a simple photo or simple even backgrounds and adding motion to them,
Yep.
all of a sudden you're getting more hits because
Yeah.
there's motion included. So
Yeah.
we're doing a lot of that also.
Yeah,
I
and
think
so we're kind of playing in that same kind of, arena.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of leaders out there that think that they can reduce costs and headcount by using AI tools. But I was at a conference last week, and one of the things that everyone was really talking about was like, it's not really about reducing headcount. It's about upskilling and reskilling the
Yes.
teams to continue to keep them relevant. It's like you can't just toss people out the door. We got to like remember
Of
that
course.
these are people who are capable, and as technology shifts, it's happened throughout eternity. Technology changes, and people need to adapt. Are there things that you're doing with your team to help them kind of continue to evolve and grow as this technology is rolling out?
Right? Yes, and in fact, just to kind of double down on what you just said, the ability to learn and to explore something just really demystifies it. So, as we look across my team, it's really, I view AI as just like, right, how do you stay everyday relevant, but also how are you kind of building how that those tools and technologies are part of your professional growth and development plan, and who has like the aptitude to really be a constant learner. I think that's really important, especially with the speed at which this changes.
Mhm.
I just right, like, which tool does what, or startups coming out and challenging some of kind of like the big players in the creative space, but kind of democratizing tools in a way like anybody can kind of just go out and start using things. But I really love just exploration, learning, and challenge the team. Gosh, the weeks are busy, right? Like, there's always a deadline, there's always a something, but like, how are you building into your calendar time to just absorb, learn, take it in, be inspired? And maybe that's not even by an AI tool, but by some of the creative that might be coming out of some of that exploration. I can't speak loudly enough for how important that is.
Okay, so back to your career, you just jumped from
Yeah.
being a doer to talking about your team.
Oh,
So
I
when
know.
did that happen? And let's dig into that a little bit. And
Right. So funny as you grow up. No, I'm just kidding. I what's been great about being, currently now at Northwestern Mutual, I've had a lot of great opportunities to kind of, right, grow. So moved from being a video producer to to a senior producer, and then leading our video team and their capabilities, and now overseeing our in-house kind of creative studio with my awesome co-lead Emmy Siro. We're able to really kind of do that. But it's so interesting because when I started here, none of those roles existed, right? Like
What?
the video producer did, but there wasn't like a who was managing the video team, who needed to, who cared, because like
What?
in-house teams at that time were probably ebbing and
Oh,
flowing. What's really kind of been interesting, again, being part of an in-house team over time, is the business's view of the value of that team has evolved. And so I mentioned earlier, you don't want to fall into the trap of being an order taker.
right.
But over time, what really happened, and this is kind of how these opportunities presented themselves, is that the in-house creative teams that I were a part of became strategic partners of the business.
It's
Like,
good.
yeah, I mean, it's super cool. I mean, right now getting to report up to our head of marketing, I mean, like that was something that back in the day, it was a service back in the
Yeah.
day. Creative
Yeah.
was a service in-house, and now we're just like such an integrated part of the team. That's been such a tremendous change. And with every disruption, hey, there was like this new opportunity to
Yeah.
grow, and I tried to grab onto some of that, or some of it grabbed me. But
Yeah.
then you have to decide, are you going to continue to make stuff, or are you going to spend more of your focus leading the team? And that was a decision, right? Like that was
Right.
a big decision I had to make.
Yeah. A lot of people make that decision and um, do it poorly. Like, because, they're really good at what they do. They're great at their craft. And they're like, they just want kind of the title and the money that comes with it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you are servicing your team, which
I
is really,
know. And they'll beg me,
but
they'll be like, please don't promote me. I want to continue to be a
I want to
designer.
keep
I
on.
wanna continue to be
Do you occasionally take it? I just the other day, I'm like, "Hey, I'll take that," and you can see the whole team kind of like go, "Oh," like. But
I
if
know.
it's a fun project, I'm like, "Oh, I'll do," and the team just kind of goes because at
Oh,
this point,
sure.
I'm a little bit slower. I'm not as good, and they know they're gonna have to clean it up at the end. But
Ugh, I know, and it's a deliberate choice, right? Because it's just
right,
I was just like, "Oh, yeah, that would be the optics there would just be amazing if I kinda grabbed onto, like, all the
the good
coolest, like"
work.
Right, yeah, good luck with that one. You're not gonna build a lot of advocates that way. No, so I remember making the conscious decision to kind of, like, set down my, paintbrush, but trying to find inspiration in like how we're building things that are going to benefit the team or the business, right? Like it's
Right.
all about, what we're doing kind of in service of the business and to kind of move our strategic priorities forward. But yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough
It's a
one.
tough one. Well, I'm glad you saw it though, because a lot of people don't. They just see the title and the dollar and go, "Oh yeah, I
Mhm.
want to do that." And you know, but
Well,
you
and it's
saw
something,
a different role.
well, right. And it's something that as you kind of move into different roles, if they become inherently more, I always say it's, right. It's difficult to do everything well. And
Yeah.
so, one of the things we talk about with some of our newer leaders is just like, figure out what your split is, because our leaders across video design and copy, they're still knee deep in the work.
Sure.
They're leading some of their own team members, but they're also doing the work. And so they have to really put up some guardrails for themselves so that they, aren't pulled in too many directions. And that's to your point, it's a conscious choice.
It is.
Yeah,
Uh, okay, but I know because I think the last time we talked, had a good conversation. You also have a passion project
I
that
love a
keep
passion project.
that
Yes,
keeps you excited and keeps you motivated.
it does, or it did. I joke now. I said,
Is
okay, I'm
it done?
putting it on ice
Is
for a
it?
little bit.
Oh,
But I needed to do it. Like it was funny because again, once a creator, always a creator. There are these points in your career where it's like, okay, well, how can I be inspired outside of work so that I can bring kind of like that same energy and enthusiasm? And I have always just had such a a heart for documentary storytelling. And I thought, well, what's to stop me from doing that on my own, aside from all the obvious things like time, money,
Resources, all the things.
and those never left, right?
Yeah.
So I committed to this. This was this is about going on 2 years ago. Started, on the evenings and the weekends, working with like a core group of awesome people outside of work to find a story. Like, and again, for me, it's always about that human connection and human storytelling. Like, what story is there that absolutely needs to be told? And, who's to stop me from going out there and telling the story? And so I worked with a group of people to really kind of pursue this passion project outside of work. And we were able to tell a great story about, actually, it fell into the category of substance abuse and addiction in really kind of one of the hardest hit areas of the country. So I was in Kentucky and West Virginia, meeting with this wonderful organization called the Shepherd's House. And their leader, Jared, has just an incredible story of how he kind of overcame some of his own demons to really help other people. And so I was able to kind of capture that story, and we're still looking at how best we can use it. It really filled kind of that bucket for me of like having the connection with people and being able to tell their story. And so I recommend to my team, to anyone, I was like, don't let this one thing be what fills your bucket. Like,
Yeah,
you don't have, right? Like, you're a
100%.
creative,
Got to find
right?
something else to
Yeah.
inspire you. I think that's when people are at their best. I mean, Bob Sprecher, our chief creative officer, he is. I call him Bob the Vila Sprecher because every week he talks about he redid a bathroom, he built a new pool, he built like he does all these
Oh,
crazy
the
things.
chaise lounge he built was amazing.
Yeah, it's like he does all these things, and that is kind of like he likes to tinker, he likes to get involved, and so anyway, I think that's how creatives can continue their inspiration, and that stuff that you do outside of work, I think fuels the stuff that you do
Oh,
inside.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So, and in fact, that's, they say like research, right? Like indicates too that being part of an in-house team, like one of the biggest considerations, if you're there for quite some time and you're so close to the brand, it can be stagnation, right? And I'm sure
Yeah,
agencies experience that too in their own way. But it's just, how can they look for inspiration that may be outside of the brand, that may be in their spare time to kind of fuel what they're doing during the day?
that's a good
Right.
question for you though. Like leading a team of creatives, how you know in-house teams, you get a lot of like, can you build a flyer? Can you build a like the quick down and dirty work that it needs to be done, but it's not always the sexy, you
Yeah.
know, Super Bowl commercial type of work. So
Hmm.
how do you kind of keep your team motivated and inspired? Because sometimes it's easy to get into a rut. And like, how do you keep them from getting into that rut?
Right. And and I speak to this too. I mean, I'm not a creative director. I kind of refer to myself as kind of like the team's business manager. But what's interesting is finding that, like, and advocating for, at least on our team, I'm not looking to have somebody generating 110% of the time, because that will burn you out. That will like tear you down. The
Mhm.
same work. Like, one of the things that we've done, gosh, it's been over the last year. We've looked at how can we rotate creative lead opportunities so that we don't have folks kind of burning out on the same kind of, business area or types of work. How are we really doing that? How are we building our bench? And again, the ability to have the time in your day to do that, and how you choose to do that is great. And as a leader, I think what I can do is just kind of like set up that framework for, I'm not going to run you 110% billable, an agency whatever.
Right.
I'm going to
Yeah.
leave you at like 80%, right? So that you have that other 20% to explore, refuel, do, obviously, right, the things
Yeah.
about running a business, the paperwork, the things, the
Right.
other, business
Yeah.
things. But like, there's that space to be able to do that. And I think that that's kind of more responsible leadership. than right, just kind of pushing toward a bottom line.
That's really great.
Yeah.
All right, Molly, one of the things that we do to end each show is we have 8 rapid fire questions.
Ooh.
Try and answer in just a few words. You ready?
Okay. Oh, I'm calibrating my brain so that it answers only in a few words.
Okay.
Wait. Okay, I'm there.
Calibrated? Okay, ready?
Cal-
1. Get rid of one forever, meetings or email?
Oh, email. 100%.
Number 2.
Why? Because I never check it, and the two of you probably know that. Judging by how long it takes for me to respond to anything.
That's why I text you. Favorite corporate slang?
Low-hanging fruit.
Ooh. Describe yourself under pressure in one word.
Spaz. But it
When
gets the job
focused-
done, right? Like,
Good.
When you need to focus on work, background noise or complete silence?
oh gosh, I like background noise.
Okay. Your go-to inspiration source when you're stuck.
It's a toss-up between my daughter and my dog.
Oh. Morning person or night owl?
More and more a night owl.
Which do you champion, creative or data?
Oh gosh, this is awful, but I think they have to coexist.
Oh,
Isn't it gross? And here's why, again, this is why I'm not the
I thought you were sure just going to say creative. I thought you were like,
I mean, if I had to choose one and they were dangling off a
you
cliff,
do.
I would take creative.
Off a low-hanging fruit, which would you grab?
I was like, because and just hear me out on this. The data thing, I think the reason that it again, I'm super passionate about in-house teams and being such a value for business is that we've been able to kind of tell a compelling story about how our team contributes thanks to data. And it's something that like a flashy piece of creative may not have been able to kind of convey the same story. So that's why I say the two have to coexist. But again, everybody else may be chuckling.
Last one.
Dream marketing job. Or dream non-marketing job.
Okay, I was going to say, because if it's a marketing job, I would love a small animal farm.
Oh, animals.
Wow.
Rabbits.
I want just little versions of everything. I like miniature horses. Like I want tiny little goats. This is actually, I'm articulating my retirement plan right now. I would love to have just like, some small acreage and then have, I don't know. I just feel like
goat yoga classes every Tuesday.
Yeah, goat yoga. I mean, why not? All the things, but they have to be like the miniature versions of the animals.
Oh my God, so good. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. This was a lot of fun.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Is there anything you want to share or plug before you leave?
Okay.
Not that I can think of, but yes. Yeah. Watch Outtakes or listen to Outtakes.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah.
That's
a good one.
What do you think, Chris?
Molly was great. I've always really liked her. It's nice to hear her story.
Yeah, I was really amazed at like all the technology and stuff that these internal teams have. I mean, when I think about like video studios, in my mind, I always thought they would go to one. I didn't necessarily thought they would have one on site.
Well, they do it so much internal communication and some external that it makes sense that they're building a really good in-house team there.
Yeah.
What I was impressed with is she didn't say the word protective, but she does protect her team for creativity. Like she gives them space, and it sounds like she even pushes them to go explore, learn, grow, which for an in-house team, that's great. Because you do get a lot of, hey, can you churn this out, which is part of the job, but being able to explore and grow and continue to do great work, that I think that's what internal teams really need.
All right. Well, that was fun. And look forward to our next conversation. And follow us and subscribe on all of your favorite podcast sources. And I hope to see you next time.
See you soon.